What's up, guys? Grab that coffee out. This is the AmzSecrets show and your host, David Aladdin. I built this show to jump past the basics and into the real Amazon core. I look to understand the person, their strategies, secrets, so that all of us can build leaner and better businesses. Today's sponsor is the AmzSecrets VIP platform, which is full of secrets, strategies, and tools, including the recently launched Product Hunter 2.0. AmzSecrets guarantees at least 2x in business revenue or your money back. I personally have already 5x my business, and many others have too. Today, we've got a special guest on the show. His name's Nathan Hirsch. How old are you, Nathan?
27.
He's 27 years old, has already built a $5 million year plus business annually, and also is the founder of FreeUp. FreeUp.com. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I live in Orlando, Florida right now, but I'm from Massachusetts. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of success when I was a young entrepreneur. When I was in college, I was 20 years old. I started off buying and selling college textbooks and selling them to different bookstores for the highest bidder, buying them at the end of the semester and then reselling them at the beginning to help people save money and not get ripped off by the bookstore. And the textbook selling got me involved with Amazon, because you obviously can't sell books without learning about Amazon. And from there, I was one of the first people to be on Amazon when they were transitioning from selling mostly books into toys and baby products and other stuff like that. So if you can imagine, now there's hundreds of sellers on every listing, whereas back when I started, it was like me and 3 other people. So that was it was a lot different than it was today. So I got involved buying different products from Slick Deals and different websites like that, reselling them on Amazon, and I quickly got involved with buying from different retailers and eventually different vendors. And when I was 21 years old, I was running a multi-million Amazon business out of my college dorm room. So it was a pretty crazy adventure. And with that, and what every entrepreneur faces is you run out of hours in the day. So I had to hire my first people. So when I was in college, I had to interview my friends and different people to help my Amazon store. So that was my first experience hiring people. When I graduated and I decided to do Amazon full-time, I moved to Florida. I decided that I needed to not only hire salaried employees, but also hire remote workers to go underneath them. Because if you're paying someone $50,000 a year and they're spending half their time doing data entry work, it's not really efficient for you. So a friend of mine that I met in Florida, he introduced me to Odesk. It's now Upwork. And I was determined to build an Odesk army, so to speak. So I hired and interviewed and learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, fine-tuned my interview process to the point where I had a very efficient team of people, and then assistants to the assistants. So it worked out pretty well. And so what I wanted to do was come up with a way for other people to have the same experience, because a lot of the people I talked to in the e-commerce industry, they've either had bad experiences hiring VAs, or they have never done it before, or they don't have a great interview process, or they just don't know how to communicate effectively from people that are either not in the same building or that are across the country. So I created FreeUp to be a better way to help people hire remote workers for their e-commerce business, and that's kind of where I stand today.
Okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit. Okay, so when you first started your Amazon business, when was like the first time you knew you had to start hiring out? Like, was the workload just unbearable?
My first busy season. Actually, my second. So my first busy season, I had a girlfriend at the time. I had finals coming up because I was in college. I was in a fraternity, so I had all that stuff going on. And then I was running this business for the first time, and I had never experienced busy season. And it was me and a part-time person. And we answered every email, filled every order. So it was drop shipping, and we weren't doing FBA, so we had a lot of customer emails and had to survive that first busy season by ourselves. And then come January, it was like, wow, that was insane. I don't even know how I survived. Now it's time to start hiring people and prepare for the next year.
What was the duties of the first virtual assistant?
The first virtual assistant was verification. So we had all these different vendors that we were dealing with. You know, Amazon's catalog is complex and messy. So we would have someone go through that we would pay, I forget what it was, around $4 an hour. And they would go through and check, hey, does this description match this product on Amazon? Yes, we list it. No, we won't, to try to stay on Amazon's good side. So that was the first virtual assistant I hired, and they would pass that file over to my internal worker who would do the pricing and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, very cool. I'm always curious how people are using the virtual assistants, because I might use them a different way, and there's just so many different ways I can leverage virtual assistants. I feel like I don't even leverage them enough, just because given tasks to virtual assistants is a task in itself. I'm sure you've seen that before.
Agreed. It's preparation up front, and you have to be prepared, and you have to have a good system for training, but long term it's incredibly worthwhile if you do it properly.
Do you have like sellers that have a virtual assistant that coordinates a bunch of virtual assistants?
I do. I have these project manager virtual assistants.
Okay.
They cost a little bit more. They obviously have more experience, and the client only wants to deal with one worker, or in some cases two, and then that worker distributes the work and checks up on it to the lower level workers beneath them.
Okay. If possible, can we go into more detail? Like, how much would a project management assistant cost, let's say, on your platform?
Sure. So you have to remember, we offer workers from $5 to $50 an hour, both U.S. and non-U.S. And there's two different clients that work for me, or that sign up for FreeUp. Some that already have the process in place and they just need lower level workers to put in, and other clients that need more experts. Maybe they're on Amazon, they want to get on eBay, so they hire an eBay expert. So the project managers more come into effect in the first scenario I gave, where they have these processes and they need someone to overlook them. So for a non-U.S. Project manager, you're probably in the $8 to $15 an hour range, depending on their experience. And if you want a U.S. person, you're probably in the $11 to $25 an hour range, depending on their experience.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's not expensive for a project manager in the U.S. So, like for civil engineering, project managers go all the way, starting at $50,000 all the way up to like $120,000 for like a principal project manager. But even higher than that, depending on what you're doing.
Exactly, and it really depends on what the skill set is, and it also depends on how well the business owner understands the process. Because the better that the business owner understands the processes, that's when you can really lower the price per worker, because the worker is just kind of learning and training as they go, rather than coming in with all this background and experience.
See, I could see myself like hiring an army of VAs and just having that project manager manage them. So I think the key point is training the project manager, and they would train all the other the VAs. I don't want to say little VAs, but the ones that kind of get replaced more often than not.
Yeah, and we have a lot of huge clients that don't want to do any training, or they don't want to even talk to someone internationally for whatever reason. They don't have the time. So they'll actually train one of my project managers in the U.S., have the U.S. person train all these sub workers, and then that U.S. person might not even be involved that much. He might just be there to check in from time to time, or if there's any additional projects that need to be trained on and distributed.
Okay. My next question is, what do most e-commerce sellers outsource to VA?
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer, because I have over 250 clients, and they all have different businesses. They sell different products, and they use different software. So it really depends. I have a lot of people that hire the remote workers, not necessarily outsourcing, but they'll hire experts in the U.S. to optimize their Amazon listings or do PPC campaigns at a high level. And then I have other people that it's more data entry, kind of that verification that I was talking about before. You have sellers that are not FBA that will have customer care people getting involved. Other basic stuff is translation services, getting on other marketplaces, bulk uploading. We do a lot with that, and just getting new listings up live. And then that kind of checking and maintaining accounts to making sure that you're following Amazon policies, going through updating pictures, titles, stuff like that over time.
Okay. My biggest thing is, like, for customer service and customer support is, like, I want someone doing that for me, but I feel like if I give them customer support, then I have to give them control to my inventory, and then they could technically send out inventory to anywhere in the U.S. And because there's so much stuff going on, I can't really see if they're doing it. I don't know if I want to keep checking if they're sending inventory to the right people. Do you have that concern a lot come up with a lot of your clients?
Yeah, it's a pretty standard concern, and it's not just me. It's if you hire any employee, there's always a risk that A, they mess up, B, that they do something that they shouldn't, or steal from you or anything like that. And I mean, I've never had issues with it with my workers. The thing I can say about FreeUp is we have a very vigorous interview process. And once you're in our network, you get access to some pretty awesome clients. So our workers care a lot more